Hello, and welcome to G Fun Facts Online, the show that dives deep into the science behind our world. Today, we're talking about an ancient disease with a very modern-day bite. It's a story of a resilient virus, a scientific triumph, and a persistent public health challenge that affects communities across the globe. We're talking about hepatitis A. Now, you've probably heard the name, but you might think of it as a relic, a disease from a bygone era, or something you only worry about when traveling. But what if I told you that despite having a near-perfect vaccine for decades, we're still seeing explosive outbreaks in major cities, from Los Angeles to capitals across Europe? How is this possible? Today, we're going to unravel the science of the hepatitis A virus, explore the incredible power of its vaccine, and understand why this preventable disease is making a comeback. It's a fascinating and frankly crucial story. So let's get into it. First things first, what exactly is hepatitis A? The name itself gives us a clue. Hepatit refers to the liver, and ileitis means inflammation. So hepatitis A is an inflammation of the liver caused by, you guessed it, the hepatitis A virus, or HAV for short. This isn't a newfangled illness. It's been documented for centuries. But it's the way this virus travels that makes it so tricky. The primary route of transmission is something scientists call the fecal-oral route. Now let's be direct here. It sounds unpleasant, because it is. It means an uninfected person gets the virus by ingesting or swallowing microscopic amounts of contaminated fecal matter from an infected person. It's a jarring thought, but understanding this is the absolute key to understanding the disease. So how does this actually happen in the real world? It's not as obscure as you might think. The most common vehicle is contaminated food and water. While large-scale waterborne outbreaks are less frequent in countries with good sanitation, they can happen, especially if sewage contaminates a water supply. But more often, it's about the food we eat. There have been notable outbreaks linked to things like fresh and frozen berries, pomegranate seeds, and especially shellfish like oysters and mussels. Think about it. Shellfish are filter feeders. They suck in water to get their food, and if that water is contaminated with HAV, the virus concentrates in their tissues. Someone eats that shellfish raw or lightly cooked, and the virus has found a new host. But it's not just about large-scale food production. It's also about person-to-person contact. This is where it gets personal. The virus can spread easily in a household, especially if an infected person prepares food for others without washing their hands properly. It can also be transmitted through close physical and sexual contact, particularly oral-anal sex. And here's a really unnerving fun fact for you. The hepatitis A virus is tough. Incredibly tough. It can survive on surfaces in the environment for months. Not days, not weeks, but months. A contaminated doorknob, a tabletop, a kitchen utensil. These can all become potential sources of transmission long after an infected person has touched them. This resilience is one of the virus' superpowers. But its other superpower is stealth. Once you ingest the virus, it doesn't make you sick right away. There's an incubation period of about 14 to 28 days, 2 to 4 weeks, where the virus is multiplying inside your body, but you feel completely fine. Here's the critical part. A person is contagious for about 2 weeks before does any symptoms show up. Let that sink in. You could be spreading the virus to your family, your friends, your coworkers for half a month without even knowing you're sick. You feel fine. You go about your life, all while being a silent transmitter. This, combined with its environmental hardiness, is the perfect recipe for an outbreak. Okay, so what happens when the symptoms finally do appear? For many people, especially young children, the answer is nothing. Kids under 6 years old often have asymptomatic infections. They get the virus, their body fights it off, and they never show a single sign of being sick. This makes them incredibly effective and completely unintentional, silent spreaders in communities and daycares. When symptoms do occur, in older children and adults, they can range from a mild, flu-like illness to something much more severe. It typically starts with a sudden onset of fever and fatigue. You just feel completely wiped out. Then comes loss of appetite, nausea, and vomiting. Many people experience abdominal pain, usually a dull ache on the upper right side of their abdomen, which is where your liver is. Then, the classic telltale signs appear. An infected person's urine can become very dark, almost like tea or cola, and their stools can become pale or clay-colored. And, of course, there's jaundice. This is when the skin and the whites of the eyes turn yellow. It's a sign that the liver is struggling to do its job of processing a substance called bilirubin. The good news is that for most healthy people, hepatitis A is a self-limiting disease. It can make you miserable for several weeks, even a couple of months, but you almost always recover fully, and, as a bonus, you develop lifelong immunity. You can't get it again. However, and this is an important however, in some cases it can be very serious. For older adults, or people who already have a pre-existing liver condition, like hepatitis B or C, the infection can lead to something called fulminant hepatitis. This is a severe, rapid-onset liver failure, and it can be fatal. So to recap, we have a tough, resilient virus that can survive for months. It spreads silently through food, water, and close contact. And while most people recover, it can be dangerous. It sounds like a formidable foe. But in the 1990s, humanity developed a truly remarkable weapon against it. This brings us to the power of prevention and one of the great success stories of modern medicine, the hepatitis A vaccine. The development and licensure of the first hepatitis A vaccine in 1995 was a complete game-changer. The impact was immediate and dramatic. In the United States, for example, the annual number of reported cases dropped by a staggering 92% between 1995 and 2010. 92%. That is an incredible public health victory. So how does this miracle of science work? It's actually quite elegant. The most common type of vaccine uses an inactivated or killed virus. Researchers grow huge batches of the hepatitis A virus in a lab. They carefully purify it, and then they kill it, usually with formaldehyde. This inactivated virus can no longer replicate or cause disease. It's completely harmless. But it still has all the surface markers, the antigens, that your immune system needs to recognize it. Think of it like this. The vaccine shows your immune system a